timing is too coincidental. They have to be around here, but there's been no sign of them.
Nonsense. The signs are there, you just aren't looking properly. Consider the circumstances.
The gems are heavy, and there are a number of them. Difficult secret about one's person.
There's a start.
But there hasn't been time to go far. They must still be around here somewhere.
Sounds so far.
The gems must have been hidden somewhere nearby. Somewhere in easy reach, but where others aren't likely to stumble upon them.
And where would that be?
I don't know.
Come now. Think, girl.
In the flower arrangements.
Too conspicuous.
Under the banquet tables?
Rank amateurism.
The chandelier!
Now you're being absurd. I would have seen them already.
I don't know.
I said think, Miss Stone. A place nearby, inconspicuous, unlikely to be disturbed, easily accessed to recover the spoils.
Matter.
No, you've got it.
Shall we then?
Quickly and quietly now.
Go! Oh! Oh, goodness! Oh, I'm perfectly right, thank you. Goodness! Ah, I'm perfectly fine, thank you. Oh, goodness, I must rest. Thank you all.
Mission accomplished. Reconvene at home. About time, Miss Stone.
Oh, that was extraordinary.
A task adequately managed,
I
indeed.
Did it? I worked it all out. You saw it yourself.
Eventually, with some guidance.
Still, I did manage. And yes, with your guidance, everything you've tried to teach me, I've worked very hard to learn. You have seen it, madam, haven't you?
You've been a diligent student, Mary, but you've a great distance to go yet. The speed at which you think can make the difference between life or death, victory or defeat. Our clients depend on us, as in times of trouble, they have nowhere else to turn.
Yes, madam.
Oh, with precious little margin for error. You must strive constantly to hone your capabilities if you mean to carry out this work.
I understand.
Good. Now, anything else?
You've had some letters. There's one from Nathaniel and his wife. They want to know if there's a good time to stop by for a visit.
There is not.
Well, we
There
could
shall
have...
never be a good time for that.
And then there's another, come by messenger. No return address. I believe it's in the same hand as the last two.
That is because they share a sender.
3 letters, one right after the others. Is there anything to it?
Nope. Nothing to concern yourself with. That will be all, Miss Stone.
You know, she's the one I've been telling you about. Been coming about once a week for the past half year or so. Appears on the shelf like there's God's own truth on them, and comes over with the very same basket every time.
I know her. She's the one come maid to the Widow Walking. Lost a shilling, went out to Stevenson when I bet she wouldn't last the month.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, miss, is there something I can help you with?
Can you tell me, do you have any more of the twine and zassam? All I saw on the shelf was ornaments.
I'm afraid we're fresh out, miss, but the ornaments is very much like it.
Madam didn't like it when I tried the Tetley. But I'll take it then if it's close.
If you don't mind my saying, miss, back in my Navy days, I provisioned warships that weren't so strict about these things as your mistress is.
Oh, yes, sir. She's very, particular about things.
Well, it ain't broke, I suppose. Thank you, miss. 6 months and I still don't know her name.
Doesn't surprise me. From what I've heard of the old lady, she'd only take an odd bird.
Oh, hello, Mary.
Oh, Mr. Orkin, hello. You headed our way?
I just thought I'd pop in on you and Aunt Victoria and see if any of our cards reach you and, ask about the case.
Oh, well, that's nice.
I had an idea, you know.
Nathaniel,
The thief had to be someone familiar with the interior
Nathaniel?
rooms.
We solved it last night.
You did? It was Gilchrist, wasn't it?
It was. He disguised himself as a footman.
Ah.
If only we'd spoken a day ago.
Well, congratulations are in order, I suppose. Shall we go on? Hello, Auntie. Look what the cat dragged in.
Nathaniel, it's you. Whatever are you doing here?
Well, since you're so occupied with work you never have time to visit, I meant to offer my thoughts on the current case, but Mary tells me it's been handled.
Indeed, you may be on your way then. Mary, back from the market? Spot test.
Yes, well, breakfast teas were rather thin on the shelves for a Wednesday. Perhaps someone's hosting a house party.
Just the breakfasties for entertaining.
Perhaps not then. A family visit then.
And what did you observe to confirm that?
I didn't, madam.
Indeed. And what else will you fail to do, Miss Stone, if you won't go to the trouble to practice? You could have cross-referenced against the other empty shelves. You could have stolen a look at the receipt book.
Or you could have asked the grocer. Well, if you really wanted to know.
That is hardly the point. This is a training exercise, and Mary still has a great deal to learn.
Oh, good heavens, Auntie, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yes, thank you, Nathaniel. Is there a reason that you are still here? As you've observed, I am far too busy for social calls.
But we've just wrapped things up. There's no reason you can't stay for tea now. Can I take your hat, sir? I say, Nathaniel, is that a bruise?
Oh, it's nothing, I assure you.
Wherever did you get that?
Oh, just from sport.
Sport. Taking up boxing, have you?
As a matter of fact.
Surely you're joking.
Not at all, Auntie.
Why on earth have you done that?
Well, if you must know, it's so I can be of more use to you. In your work. So I can handle myself and lend another arm if things come to it.
By going a few rounds of gentlemen's boxing, you think that is enough to ready you?
Well, it isn't right to hang back and leave it all to you ladies. What sort of man would that make me? You may laugh if you wish, but how do you think I feel knowing you two are putting yourselves in danger and I'm not fit to help you?
Don't think you quite understand. There are no Marquis of Queensberry rules when you're fighting for your life.
But Mary's had to defend herself and she's just a girl.
Sir!
Oh, no offense intended, Mary, but if you can swing that fireplace poker of yours, surely I'm worth a crack or two.
Very well, Nathaniel. If you mean to have a go at me.
I beg your pardon?
If you think you're fit to take on a real threat.
I say, Auntie, how could I?
You want to know what you're up against? Show me what you're made of.
I really don't think this
Mary,
is a
take his coat. Now, come on. Is that all? You must do better than that.
Oh!
And if you can't, you'd best keep out of the way.
Well, I've made a fool of myself.
Oh, not at all, sir.
Go on.
She's been in training for years.
And made short work of me.
Well, I think it's rather noble of you. You're not content to hang back out of harm's way.
Still, perhaps she's right. Perhaps I'm not cut out for this.
There's more to this work than knives and brawling. Tain't the end of everything not to be a martial man.
Here now. I have a martial side. I'll have you know I served my bit a few years back.
You did?
Don't sound so surprised.
Forgive me, sir. It's just, well, you're a gentleman. Tain't necessarily to be expected of a gentleman.
Miss Stone. Ever since I was a child, I wanted to be just like my uncle, the soldier. You can be sure that when the time came, I stepped up and did my duty for Queen and country, just as he did.
Well, forgive me, sir. I'm quite impressed. You must tell me sometime of your adventures as a dashing servant of the Empire.
Oh, well, hardly that. Yes, I enlisted when I was 20, before I was married, but do you know where they stationed me?
India? Singapore?
Newcastle. At the naval headquarters in the North Country. When they learned I was a finance man, they assigned me to keep the books for the armory.
I see.
Hardly the adventure I imagined it. Certainly not much in the Colonel's style.
They saw you had a talent and they put it to use, though. I can't help but think we ought to do the same.
I do so want to be of use to her.
And so you will. Who knows, Nathaniel? We may run into something only you can do.
quite a belt she gave me, wasn't it? I wonder how long she's wanted to do that.
This hour?
Which is not unheard of in an emergency. Best hurry, Miss Stone.
Hawking residence?
I must speak to the lady of the house.
And who may I say is called?
You may address me as Mrs. Johanna Brown. This is my maid, Miss Emma Mason. Is the lady about?
As Brown. I should have expected this.
Forgive the intrusion, madam, but when you did not respond to my letters, I feared perhaps they did not reach you.
Oh, on the contrary.
The circumstances require immediate action. It is a matter of the utmost importance.
So you said.
Then, will you not come to my aid?
The lady will need to give me better reason than urgency.
The lady?
She's only Mrs. Brown, if you please.
Despite how the lady has introduced herself, Miss Mason, surely you do not expect me to mistake her for one of the rabble.
Perhaps Madam could explain her situation.
It's rather a difficult thing to
If the
speak
lady
of.
would please come to her point.
Very well. What would it require for you to kidnap a man from the German embassy?
I beg your pardon.
Just as she said. You must take this man from hiding within the German embassy without anyone the wiser.
Why?
We cannot say.
Afraid I shan't be undertaking any venture so ludicrous as that without some semblance of reason.
It is a matter of extreme delicacy.
So is every matter I deal with.
I assure you, madam, this is worthy of your efforts. Not only would you be righting a grave wrong, you would be doing a great service to Queen and country. So, will you help me?
No.
But you must.
Madam, perhaps we ought to
Name
think
your price.
I am not to be bought.
Anything you desire.
No! No, madam. I do not care what state secrets have been lost, what risk your husband has put to his career, nor what precise military strategy has been trammeled up. I am not for use by the establishment. And you may take that message back to whomever has sent you here.
No one sent me.
Surely, Mrs. Hawking, we can think about
But there's no other way.
Miss Stone, show our guests to the door.
I'm so sorry, madams, but the lady
Good
doesn't-
heavens, it's for me! For my sake.
For you. What's happened to you?
You must understand, Miss and Madam. I'm a decent woman. I never would have. I did not mean to draw him after me. I never even looked him in the eye.
Miss Mason, what has this man done to you?
I couldn't stop him. When he came for me, I couldn't stop him.
This man is Herr Christoph Austerlitz in the contingent of the German ambassador. A landed gentleman with a title. We had no thought for him until one evening when I called for Miss Mason. She came to me in a terrible state. Distracted, shaking, eyes rimmed red with tears.
I didn't want to say it, Madam. I wanted to forget it had happened at all, but I couldn't keep it in. This attaché, he
had outraged her in the servants' quarters.
Good heavens, you poor creature.
It is for her sake and her suffering that we come to you now.
Could you not
We should take...
call for this man's arrest?
I've got no proof. Only my word. Nobody would ever take my word over a gentleman's.
Even if we could take the matter to the authorities, he has diplomatic protection as an ambassador of an allied power. I was forbidden from laying such accusations. That is why we turn to you.
To propose that we should take him against his will and without detection from the German embassy.
I have looked into this man, madam. Miss Mason is hardly the first woman upon whom he has preyed. His reputation is well known. And yet no one will stop him for his position within that embassy's walls. They place him beyond the reach of all laws of the realm. but not beyond yours, if all that I have heard is true.
And what is it that you want from him?
Justice! For Miss Mason, and for all the other blameless girls who may have it by no other means.
Why didn't you tell us before, miss?
Because I accused a gentleman of laying hands on me. Because I did nothing to ask for this. Couldn't risk you thinking me a liar. Or else a whore.
As everyone else we've turned to has done.
I know men better than that.
And there is no time to lose. Not only for Miss Mason's sake, but for all the women we may save from him in future. They could spirit him out of the country at any moment and he will go on forever. We cannot allow that to happen, but we cannot stop it alone.
So please, Mrs. Hawking, Miss Stone, I beg you, please help me.
Madam.
We'll do it.
What is our plan of attack?
An embassy will be defended. We must investigate the premises, determine its weak points, and from there, devise a way to capture our quarry without detection.
However are we going to manage that?
We'll decide once we know what we're up against. The real trouble shall be what to do with him after we've taken him.
Shan't that be up to Miss Brown and Miss Mason?
Oh, perhaps, but it isn't as though they may hand him over to the authorities.
Well, what else can be done to stop him?
For a villain of this stripe, I can think of something.
Madam, you don't suppose that she intends
I
that
would.
I'm sure that doesn't sit quite right with me, even for a brute like that.
Well, one problem at a time. We shall cross that bridge when we come to it.
Madam, can I ask you something? Why didn't you want to take the case from Miss Brown and Miss Mason?
I am not an errand runner for hire by wealthy matrons.
But you've helped our born ladies before.
She made the mistake of invoking some duty to the Empire.
It's a proper thing, ain't it? For Queen and country.
Spare me. It was practically my husband's battle cry and the motto by which he lived his life.
Is it really so different from what you do? Serving others something greater than yourself?
What might that be?
Well, I should think it's in the service of the realm to make it a more just place.
The same realm whose laws offer no protection to women like Miss Mason. No, the lady simply thought to appeal to my patriotism. Vivat Regina! Obligation to our queen and the grand social order she laid down.
I might have thought you'd admire her.
The queen! That factory for children bent on casting a shadow over the whole of the earth.
Madam!
A woman of whims and rages whose life was so built around her husband she'd keep the entire nation frozen in grief for 20 years after.
Well, I always thought there was something romantic about that.
For one sun to rise and set over a man?
Perhaps not that, but she did love him very much.
She's not the first to lose herself for falling in love.
She is still a woman mistress of the most powerful empire in the world.
Indeed. And if she chose, she could put that power to work, changing this world in which we all suffer. Instead, she builds it up to maintain her own position. I mean to tear down the crumbling walls of life and not shore them back up. No, Mary, you may not toss about for queen and country with me.
Suppose I never thought about all that.
But you must! If you want to make your way at this, you must keep the end in mind. The Order acts only to protect itself. We are to stand for the victims of the system, not its enforcers. You cannot permit yourself to be taken for its use.
Aunt Victoria? Aunt Victoria?
God's sake!
Well, who might that be?
Pretend we're not at home.
Madam!
Aunt Victoria, I know you're in there.
Very well. Mary, it appears you are to be making the acquaintance of Mrs. Hawking.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, not me. The other Mrs. Hawking.
Aunt Victoria,
Clara?
forgive my pushing in, but it seemed like just the right moment to catch you. We haven't seen you since Christmas. I was beginning to worry that you might have bricked yourself up inside that study of yours. Of course, Nathaniel is glad to be seeing so much more of you these days. Miracles happen, I suppose. And this must be Mary, your lovely house girl. Nathaniel speaks very highly of you, miss. Of course, any girl who's managed your auntie as you have must be a saint. Oh, don't mistake me, dear. We do love our Aunt Victoria. It's only to know her as to love her, and we know her. Auntie, you must come to supper more often. I know you're fiercely independent, but what is family for if not to take care of widowed relations and see that you eat properly every once in a while? I know that left to your own devices you might starve to death over your books. I'm sure you try your hardest with her, Mary, but heaven knows it can be like trying to push the boulder up the hill. And I'm sure you've been missing Beatrice and little Reggie as much as they've missed you. We'd hate to think we're allowing you to go on lonely. Now, Mary, help me fetch the tea tray, and I'll catch you up on everything about the children since last you came about.
Good heavens. She's...
Indeed.
And so...
Oh my, yes.
I think she's lovely.
You would.
Whatever are you doing?
Tell her I've been called away.
Are you serious?
Oh, it's the death of kings. You manage her if you find her so charming.
Really,
As I
madam?
believe I've said once before, Miss Stone. Better you than me.
And where is dear auntie? Have I frightened her off?
I'm afraid so, madam.
Perfect.
I beg your pardon?
You cannot lead stubborn pigs, you may only drive them. I think I found your tea things, the kettle was still warm.
Oh, you needn't to trouble yourself
Oh,
with...
no trouble, I like to keep busy. My goodness, from your cupboards you'd think this place was a military outpost. Haven't even any decent tea biscuits.
Madam doesn't like to keep them in the house.
Barbarism. At any rate, I needed to give Auntie a chance to slip off. There's one thing I've learned in the 5 years I've been part of the Hawking family, is that if you care to get rid of Aunt Victoria, the surest way is the threat of a polite social visit.
But madam, if you didn't wish to see her, then what brings you by?
It's rather to talk to you as a matter of fact.
Me, madam.
Well, you know that Nathaniel has taken it upon himself to look after her. She and I are not what one would call close, but it is important to him, and so important to me.
It's very kind. The both of you.
I confess I'd rather wondered what came over him. Of course he'd cared to do right by his dear uncle's widow, but I thought perhaps when we'd had her help sorted, he might not worry so much. Instead, he spent more time here than ever.
Indeed.
The Colonel and Nathaniel admired his late uncle so. I think he feels that it's something the Colonel might have wanted, but I'm not entirely convinced it's doing her much good.
Because she is so, difficult?
Because she is so horrid. That is to say, we love her, but she is. I'd make apologies for speaking ill of your mistress, but I imagine you understand better than any of us.
It isn't for me to say, madam, but I do so admire the ways you found to manage her.
You're a sensible girl, I see, in all possible ways. But here's the rub. Nathaniel insists that something is different with her now, that he's a real chance to reach her. I, however, still have my doubts, and I'd hate to let him go on if she's only going to kick him in the teeth for it.
I do see what you mean.
Which brings me to you now. So honestly, miss, you must tell me. Do you think there's any hope?
Well, madam, you see, I rather think there is.
Really? How so?
Well, I know I've not been here long, but it seems that madam is different somehow. That her life and Nathaniel's place in it it's changed. I don't know quite what it means yet, but if things can change, perhaps they can change for the better.
You believe she is capable of such a thing?
I believe she's beginning to learn.
What makes you say that?
She started with me.
Well, that's very much not what I expected. Thank you, Mary. You've been most helpful. Do you think we shall wait then for Auntie to make her return? And let's do have some lovely conversation. It will bother her to no end to see you enjoy my company.
You got my message!
I did! And I hear at last you met my Clara?
I did. She was quite something. Do you know she ran Mrs. Hawking right out of here?
That's my girl. Cocked guns and drawn blades can't scare Auntie, but Clara can. Tell me, what happened, though? Clara said it was a social visit, but I can't imagine Aunt Victoria was happy to see her.
Among others. Back again.
Yes, I sent him a message. We've a new case.
Splendid! What's the game?
It's a terrible business. We're after a fella who outraged a lady's maid, but the authorities won't touch him because he's attached to a German diplomat.
Oh, dear Lord.
His name is Herr Christoph Austerlitz. He is the agricultural attaché to
That
the
is
German...
enough, Mary. We must prepare for tonight's investigation.
Where are you investigating?
The embassy.
Tonight? But there's a reception there tonight. Some German opera singer is in town.
How do you know that?
I had a card about it. I receive all manner of invitations at the office.
Blast, I hoped it would be abandoned. But we can't afford to wait. They could smuggle our quarry off at any moment. We shall have to risk it.
You don't mean to take the man out in the midst of all that?
Of course not. We must get the lay of the land before we move.
What are we looking for?
Institutions like this keep records of our business activities, schedules, supplies, that sort of thing. If I can find a logbook, we should be able to determine our best opportunity to strike.
Splendid! How may I help?
What? We have things well in hand.
Oh.
So why don't you be on your way?
Aunt Victoria, why won't you trust me?
Don't you spare me, Nathaniel.
No. No, madam, you shan't put me off. I know I was at the wrong end of things at the start of this business of yours, but I've done my best to make it up. I do mean to be of some use to you, and by God, on occasion I have. Isn't that so?
Yes, you have.
Then why won't you let me on? I mean, really let me on. Is it because I'm a man?
Nathaniel.
Do you think I'm not clever enough? That I'll get in a tight spot, lose my head, and disappoint
You
you?
look so much like him! Too damn much.
Like whom? Do you mean like the Colonel?
You never told me that. Others have, but not you.
The ears and the whiskers, throw it off. But that was the face I first looked into 20 years ago. When a promising young soldier was transferred to a post in Singapore and trammeled up my life forever. The same eyes from which I had to hide everything of any meaning to me so that I might be permitted to have it.
I don't want you to think about me that way. Not anymore.
I know that. And not for nothing. But the years that I lost, the pains that I took...
I know.
Yes. Now you know, and it galls me. I tell you, it galls me, boy, to look into those eyes and that face and give all the game away to them.
I can't help who I look like.
No. But all the same, he's in everything in you. His blood and his name and every effort in the world to be just like him.
But I'm not like him.
To your eternal sorrow.
Still, I'm not him. I can learn better. But I need you to teach me. I can't do it alone. Rather, none of us could. The Colonel neither. Because the God's honest truth is, you don't know if he could have learned better. You never gave him the chance.
Not now, Mary. We have work to do.
There are so many people about.
Who would have thought so many Englishmen would turn out for a sport of someone else's culture?
Perhaps we ought to wait another night after all?
No, there's nothing for it. We've no time to lose.
What would you have me do?
You shall stake out the perimeter. You must observe the lay of the land, the pattern of the guards as they go about their rounds, and anything else that may be of note. We never know what might be useful later.
And of you?
I shall do the same on the inside.
Well, what have you spotted?
I won't be.
Very well. Be careful, madam.
You as well. I shall see you back at home.
Stop! In the name of the law!
heavens! Are you all right, sir?
Blimey! Where did you come from? Did you do this?
I'm afraid I did. You so looked as though you could use the hand.
Suppose I did at that.
And now I must be off.
Wait a moment! Who the devil are
I'm
you?
sorry, I can't tell you.
What, more ruffians to
I've
brain?
important business to carry out.
Oh, and what might that be?
Really, sir, I'm not in the habit of giving out me affairs to strangers.
A fair cop. Well, in that case, the name's Swan. Constable Arthur Swan of Scotland Yard. But you might call me Arthur. It's polite to exchange introductions.
Oh, Mary.
Mary what?
Mary Stone.
Charmed, I'm sure. So charmed, I'd almost given up wondering at what important business a pretty thing like you has on a street corner after sundown. With a... Is that a poker?
Yes! I'm a maid of all work. It's a tool of the trade, you see.
Not many hearths out on the high street.
Well, never know when you might come across a policeman in need of a sport of help.
You're not about to tell me, are you?
I'm afraid I can't, sir.
At least let me see that you're walked home.
And what will you do with your man there? Perhaps I should be the one walking you.
Got me there. On both counts.
Then I'll thank you to leave me to me business.
You're quite the rare bird, aren't you?
I don't know what you mean, sir.
Bloody hell, you don't. You're certain you're all right here?
Perfectly so.
And have your word you don't mean no trouble with that poker you're swinging?
Hand to God, sir.
Well, then I suppose I'll leave you to it. All right, up you get. But, I make patrol here, but for every second Sunday. Be sure to come hang about again sometime.
In case you're in need of some more assistance.
Or in case I can return the favor.
I would have expected a German party to be duller, but this is rather nice.
Are you feeling any better?
I'm afraid not, darling.
I wish you would tell me what was troubling you. Nothing happened in Aunt Victoria's, did it? She's awful when she wants to be, but it doesn't usually upset you so.
I'd rather not talk about it.
Very well, dear. No matter, before long, I'll have my ways of managing her for you.
Still intent on making Mary your eyes and ears, are you? I'm afraid it may not work out as you've hoped.
I assure you, dear, I have it all in hand. Do cheer up, though. You must sight of that fellow you're after, the agricultural attaché, was it?
Not to worry, I have an eye out.
I do hope he turns up soon. The recital's about to begin.
Now, if you'd excuse me a moment, I do believe I spy the Dowager Lady Marbury. I've heard she's seen the new decor in the tea room at Claridge's, and I want to find out if it's as hideous as they say.
Nathaniel!
Madam? I've never been snapped at by a punch bowl before.
What are you doing here?
Oh, just taking in some culture. You know how I love the opera.
Dare you push your way in? I told you I had no need of you.
You can't know that! You said we must be prepared for anything. This way, I shall be nearby in case you need my help.
Help! Can you creep your way into the rafters or pick your way past a locked door?
Well, no, but I am...
You're an albatross around my neck.
Madam!
I don't have time for this. I must make my way into the offices before someone notices you conversing with a punch bowl.
As I recall, the albatross was a symbol of luck until someone shot it.
Do your best to stay out of the line of fire.
Pardon me, madam. It looks as though you know your way around the place.
Why, yes.
Hawking's the name, Nathaniel Hawking.
A pleasure, sir. I am Frau Kirsten Gerhardt, secretary to the Lord Ambassador. I was just on my way...
Well, actually, madam, I was hoping you and I might have a word.
Yes? And what is this regarding?
Well, I have a small investment firm here in the city, and we're always on the lookout for new ventures. I'm told your man for looking into agricultural concerns is a fellow by the name of Austerlitz. Might I be able to speak with him?
My apologies, Mr. Hawking, but Herr Austerlitz is tonight otherwise engaged. He is attending to some important matters before he must be departing for the homeland.
Oh, departing, you say?
Yes, it was quite sudden, but he was called away unexpectedly. By Monday morning, he'll be on his way.
Monday morning, you say? What a tragedy.
Not to worry, sir. Within the month his replacement arrives. We should be pleased to see that you have an appointment with him when he does. If you'll just come with me to my office...
No! That is to say, don't trouble yourself. I'm in no hurry whatsoever. In truth, I only came tonight to hear Madame von Lichtenwald sing.
You are a devotee of the German opera?
Why, yes! Wagner changed the face of the art.
I so agree! Good heavens, it is refreshing to encounter such perspective from an Englishman. Why, Strauss's De Fledermaus has yet to open upon a London stage.
De Fledermaus, you say? I've not heard of that one, but I should so love to learn more about it.
Oh, sir, then you shall. If you'll just come with me to the library, there are some cylinders with the score in its entirety.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, madam, good morning.
Good morning, Mary. Is Auntie about?
She's not, I'm afraid.
Very good. Saves me putting on a show. Now, I've only a moment, but after seeing the state of your cupboards, I wanted to make sure I sent over a few things. I'm sure it would be nice to be able to have things done properly for once.
Oh, madam, you really shouldn't.
Oh, nonsense. If she's cross, just blame it on me. I mean to make myself useful to you on occasion if we're to be friends. After all, what would we have done without you? For Auntie, I mean.
Me?
If Auntie's changed, well, the difference must be you.
Oh, I don't know about that, madam. If I'm being honest, I don't know if anything about me measures up. Not for her, anyway.
Mary, do you know how many maids we tried to engage for Aunt Victoria before you came along? 6, I'll have you know, and she chased off every last one of them. She would have done the same to you if you didn't reach her somehow.
Doubt you'd put it that way, madam.
Mary, she doesn't know everything, however she may go about. Now, I ought to be getting home. I nearly forgot. These are for you. I shan't tell if you shan't.
Why didn't you wake me? We have work to do.
You were up all night. You need your rest.
We still don't have a plan and no time to waste.
Oh, Clara was here. She stopped by. But it's all right. She's gone now. I handled it. You said you found a door in the kitchen that leads to an alleyway outside. What if we, gave him a good knock on the head and dragged him out unconscious?
Who knows how many people we would have to bear him past to get there? No, I despair of us ever being able to take him out of there against his will. What we ought to do is waylay him when he makes his escape for Germany. But we can't lie in wait for him without knowing his plans.
Is there no other way to draw him outside? What if we found something to lure him with?
Such as?
Well, we know he has a taste for maids.
What are you saying?
Perhaps I could serve as bait.
No!
But if we've no other way...
Put that thought out of your mind, Mary.
I'm running short on ideas, man.
Clearly, if you thought of that.
I'm doing my best.
I need to be able to place more faith in your judgment than that.
Please, I just...
What this calls for is a trap of some sort waiting outside. Something we can spring when he stumbles in unawares.
Waiting outside? Perhaps I could ask Arthur to think
Who
of...
the devil is Arthur?
That is Constable Swan, a policeman I met while I was scouting the area.
You were noticed by a policeman?
He didn't know what I was up to, but he seemed a decent fella.
Christ on the cross. First you thrust Nathaniel upon me, now you drag this policeman into our affairs. Would you give the game away to every man in London?
But he might be able to bring the force of the law down upon Austerlitz.
What have I only just explained to you? The establishment is our obstacle in this, not our ally. It acts only to protect itself. For sake, Mary, have you not listened?
Madam, stop! I can't bear it. You're always telling me I must do this or I shan't manage or I mustn't do that or all will be lost.
trying to teach
And I am trying to learn. Is nothing I've done enough for you?
You must understand, Mary, I have been at this work for half of my life now, and before you had always done it alone.
But I have not. And I can't do it alone.
That's not what I expected of you.
Why are you so hard on me?
I must be.
Why? So I shan't ruin all
I
your
need to make you my protege.
What?
As I said, before you, I'd always worked alone, and I'd assumed I always would. I thought that when the time came that I could not keep on with it any longer, that would be the end of it. All my efforts would die with me. But since you've come along, you've changed everything.
I have?
You've risen to every challenge that's come your way. I would never have dreamed what a help you would be to me.
Madam, I'm certain I'm not the assistant you would have imagined.
Perhaps not. But now I see that you are precisely what I needed, and one day you could carry out my work in my stead.
Madam, I don't know what to say.
This is not an easy life, nor a safe one. But is it a path that you could see for yourself?
After everything you've shown me, it is the only path I can see.
Monday morning!
You, sir, have a great deal of
Madam,
fault.
Monday morning!
What?
That's when Austerlitz will be making his escape!
How do you know that?
The secretary told me, at the reception. And more about German opera than you'd ever care to know.
However did that come about?
I got the woman talking. She was headed for the offices, and I meant to send her off somewhere else, but she ended up squiring me all over the building, so much that Clara left without me. Oh, I do hope she's not cross.
She showed you around the embassy.
Nathaniel, that's brilliant!
Are you joking? She gave me the time straight away and then insisted on regaling me about some operetta about a bat. I lost hours in there and I never had a chance to help Auntie look for the logbook.
Nathaniel, don't you see? She may have told you something about the building that we can use. And you did succeed in keeping her from the offices. Madam did find the book.
Really? I did? You did? Might I take a look?
Fancy yourself quite the detective, now do you?
Please, I kept logs just like this one when I was at the armory in Newcastle.
Very well on then. Monday morning. We shall have to act the night before to see that we're in wait. Nathaniel, did the secretary mention where the border between German and English sovereignty is on the grounds?
Yes, she did. It's right where the good old English street runs up against it.
Then we may take him when he boards the carriage.
But we still don't know what to do with him once we've got him.
Lost it. Nathaniel, the log, does anything strike you?
Nothing particularly, I'm afraid. These records are quite strange.
How so?
Well, they're kept to the precise minute. And there seems to be something they receive in once a month, only to send it back out again immediately. My German's weak, but I could swear it was wagons of pineapples. Is that some sort of Teutonic idiom?
Pineapples. What time? What time do they arrive?
Well, it appears to be in the wee hours of the morning.
Record for everything, eh? Bless the Germans and their mad precision.
What does it mean?
Spies! It's the comings and goings of spies.
Here in London, but they're our allies.
No, don't be a fool. All the major powers keep eyes on each other. It's the way the game is played. Still, it would be very improper indeed for the host nation to see hard proof of it. England would have to look into it, and Germany would have to disavow it.
So if a man were to be taken for a spy, no one could do anything to help him.
Because the order acts only to protect itself. All we need now is a means by which to frame him, and he's ours.
But by whom? Who will catch him with the evidence?
I have an idea.
Excellent. Because I have a plan.
We came as soon as we could, madam. Where has your maid gone to?
Mrs. Brown, Miss Mason, thank you for setting out at this late hour. As for Miss Stone, she is out, making arrangements for the managing of your problem.
You are fortunate to have her. It's a precious thing to have someone on whom you can so completely rely.
Oh, I quite agree, although I must say your concern for Miss Mason here is remarkable.
Why remarkable?
You've gone to no small trouble on her behalf.
She means a great deal to me. She's been a true friend. One of few.
Would you do any less for your girl?
Not a jot. Still, it's hardly to be expected from a woman of such exalted stature.
Exalted stature? What stature?
You may abandon the charade. I know who you are.
I beg your pardon.
Madame's mistaken. The lady's just like anyone else.
Come now, Miss Mason. Your mistress did not come to me because she thought I was a fool. It was clever of you, madam, to use a German name. I doubt the average Briton is aware of how your family speaks at home, or of how little regard you have for their suffering when foreign relations are involved.
How dare you?
You're dreadfully impertinent in how you speak to me.
Shall be so daring. If you had any power to exact your own punishment, you'd have no need of me.
Is this why you called us here? To abuse my wretchedness?
To report to you on the state of things. We've investigated the embassy. It is busy, well defended. I do not see any viable means of extracting him from within those walls.
Then all is lost.
Not yet, miss. We may yet snare him, but it shan't be for the crime he's committed. But before I do it, I must be certain, is this what you want?
What? Of course we're mistaken
I asked Miss Mason. She must decide.
Madam?
When justice comes for him, it shan't be for what he's done to you. No one shall speak for you. No one will even know.
No. Not even him.
They will never know what they do to us.
It's not right. When you capture him, you ought to know what he's done. It's not right.
No, it isn't. But it's as much as can be done in the world as it is. You must decide, is it enough?
Will it stop him? Will other girls be spared?
For that, I will do everything that is in me.
Then do it. Stop him. That's what I want. That shall be enough.
So be it. It will come.
Thank you, madam. Forgive me, I can't, forgive me. It's all right. If we're finished, I shall call round for the carriage. Oh.
I knew Madam would find some way.
The system will not serve us. But like many brutish things, it can be manipulated by its own worst impulses. That is the system your mother has made for us.
It's not my doing.
Because you've done nothing! You may as well be her lapdog.
She has need of me. I have no choice.
She makes it so many of us have no choice.
What else am I to do? I was 4 years old when she made me her mourning toy. One by one, my sisters escaped to marriage, to positions, to other countries. Only I had no intervening duty, so she stitched me to her side. When majesties and potentates bow before her, how is one such as I to defy her?
Then I should think you would have more pity for those of us who will not stand for it.
As you might for me if I suffer as her victim too. We cannot all be warriors, Mrs. Hawking. And yet we must all find some way to survive.
There is one other thing, madam. I am in need of an official diplomatic pouch. I trust you can secure one for me.
I believe so. But what for?
Why, madam, to lay a snare.
They'll catch a cab over there. It won't be long now.
I rather envy your cool head over this. I'm quite nervous, I must admit.
You know, you were rather extraordinary the other night, gathering all that information from the secretary.
Really think so?
Of course. You know, I never did tell you why Clara came to visit. She wanted to know if I thought it was worth you putting up with all of Mrs. Hawkins' trouble, if you were doing any good.
Then do you think I am, in spite of it all?
Neither Mrs. Hawkins nor I could have managed what you did. And she must know it.
Am I mad to hope she might have said it? Suppose I ought to be cross with her, but, you know, what I can't get out of my mind is the poor old Colonel. What it must have been like, shut out of so much of her life like that.
She couldn't risk him finding out.
I know, but he loved her, blast it. If there's one thing I shall always believe of him, it's that. He would have had a care that she was so miserable with things as they were.
Do you really think he knew, even after she hid so much from him?
He may have hardly known her, Mary, but he wasn't a fool. The woman he loved could barely stand the sight of him. He must have known that.
But how could he have done nothing for it then?
I don't think he knew how. She certainly never told him.
She would have had to trust him for that.
And that she could never do. Still, I think it's an awful shame that she never gave him the chance.
You know, I think she learned something from it after all.
What makes you say that?
Because, Nathaniel, she told you.
Gehen Sie, geht schnell.
They're coming. It's time, Nathaniel!
Oh, terribly sorry, sir. Very clumsy of me, yes. Quite,
Oder
yes.
Steiner hat sehr geirrt.
Oh, yes, guten Nacht, yes, very good.
Ah! Nein! Helfen! Helfen! Oh! Oh! Ah! Au! Ah! Oh! This is for him. Oh! Ah!
Stop where you are! That's an order!
Listen.
Ah! What's this? Brawling in the street and assaulting an officer of the peace? Oi! Ah!
My God! What is the meaning of this?
Police business, madam. We received an anonymous note about the wrong person attempting to leave the country with information sensitive to the safety of the realm.
I beg your pardon. There is no reason for you to assault a noble attaché of the German ambassador. Herr Austerlitz, how could you? Was have you done? Spielen? Das ist unglaublich. Absolut unglaublich.
Ich bin kein Spion, du Dumpsterkuh. Bleib stumm.
We'll sort him out down at the yard. Ah. Important business, eh?
He's in custody now. I heard Royal Intelligence collected him from Scotland Yard the very next morning.
I can't believe it, madam. I can't believe you've done it.
It was hopeless. Impossible.
Those are the conditions in which I specialize.
I don't know how I could ever thank you.
Then I shall. Anything that is within my power to give, you may have with my thanks.
We shall remember that. And we shall keep it in store until we have need.
It was our honor, madam. And perhaps now, Miss Mason, you can find some way to heal?
Not near enough for that, sir. But it's something. More than I could have hoped. And I'll take it.
One last thing. I was asked to give this to you. Now we shall take our leave.
Well, Auntie, are you pleased with things?
As a matter of fact.
Even with me? I'm not what you hoped for, but perhaps I can be what you need?
Very little in my life has gone on as I would have hoped. But one must make the best of what one is given. And that may make all the difference. Well done, Mr. Hawking.
Oh, thank you, Auntie. Thank you ever so much. And if I may, I'm aching to know what's in that letter.
Are you? Well, then I suppose it's for you now as well. Read it, Mary.
Dear Madam, we suppose congratulations are in order. Your work was very cunning indeed. We suppose by now we should expect no less. We must warn you, however, not to meddle in affairs so closely related to our house and state again. Our coexistence continues uneasily enough without your upsetting our order any further. My goodness.
Whatever is that all about? Madam? Madam, you all right? Mary, what the devil's going on?
We certainly seem to have dug under someone's skin. In that case, jolly well worth it, wasn't it?
But who was the... By Jove. You don't mean to say
As
that
they
was from...
say, Nathaniel, Vivat Regina.